would enable, I think, more extensive investigations. That is not to say that we ever limit the investigations. We go as far as we need to. We probably are not seeing as many prosecutions as the public would expect. I think that with patience and with time, we will see more prosecutions.
The African Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities, formed in 2011, is to foster cooperation among countries as well as review strategies being adopted to combat the issue. Members are expected to elect executives and also adopt a constitution at the conference.
Now, the motorcade of dignitaries traveling from the Volta regional capital to Accra got involved in an accident late afternoon today, injuring Russia's Chief Justice Vyacheslav Mikhailov. Chief Justice Lebedev was one of the guest speakers at the annual Ghana Bar Association conference held in Ho. Reports indicate the Ministry of Defense has airlifted the Chief Justice to the 37 Military Hospital for medical attention. Justice Lebedev is on a 4-day tour to Ghana as the head of a 4-member delegation. Other members of the delegation include Chief Justice of Moscow Regional Court and Chief Justice of the Saratov Regional Court. To give us an update on the situation, this joining us is Mauli Agbi in Ho. Good evening to you, Mauli. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
Yeah, Israel, information available to me indicates that the Chief Justice of Russia, together in a convoy with the Chief Justice, George Nahoud, and other officials from Accra who were part of the opening ceremony of the Ghana Bar Association's annual conference, were returning to Accra when a tipper truck veered onto their lane, and in the course of that, their vehicle ran into the tipper truck. The vehicle in which the Chief Justice of Russia was traveling ran into this tipper truck, involving in this particular accident. 2 persons have been critically injured. The Chief Justice of Russia, Mr. Lebedev, and his security detail, who were in one car, got injured and were moved to the Volta Regional Hospital for attention. Immediately, preliminary checks were done on them. An X-ray was taken of them. They were taken to Accra by helicopter, which landed at the 56th Artillery Regiment in Ho to take them to Accra for further medical attention at either Kolebu Teaching Hospital or the 37 Military Hospital. That was barely an hour and a half ago.
Okay.
And this incident happened just after Chito, and this place we call Pongpit Barrier, which is close to a police barrier. And this happened, at about 45 minutes past 5 this evening.
All right, thank you very much. That was Mauli Agbi reporting to us from Ho on the accident involving the Russian Chief Justice. We're told that he's being airlifted to Accra. We'll follow up with it and see what other detail we can bring you before the end of the bulletin. In other news, Parliament has been recalled for an emergency sitting to approve, among others, a credit agreement for an amount of $24.5 million in additional funds to complete work on the Job 600 project. The loan is to ensure that work is completed before the House resumes in October. Joining us is Parliamentary correspondent Emmanuel Ante. What's in the chamber and as far as this report?
The Speaker acknowledged the response to his call by members to address the matters affecting the House and government business.
I once again welcome honorable members to the House. It is my prayer that the good Lord will guide us in our deliberations. Honorable members, thank you very much for the audience.
Reading the business statement for the emergency sitting, the majority leader indicated the credit facility between government and Fidelity Bank will pay for furnishing of MPs' offices in Job 600.
The credit agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana and the Fidelity Bank Limited for an amount up to the CD equivalent of $24,500,000 United States dollars as additional funding for the completion of the conversion of the State House Job 600 into offices for members of Parliament in respect of furniture, fixtures and fittings, and additional civil works.
Other loan agreements and bills include a $76.5 million facility to finance the Rural Enterprises Phase 3 program and the Value-Added Tax Bill 2013. The Rural Enterprises Phase 3 program and the other tax waiver requests referred to the Finance Committee by the Speaker generated debate as to which committee should be part of the committees to consider the request.
You want to restrict it to the Finance Committee. I believe nobody can question that. But I would think that the main function of any committee is to help oversee a particular sector. Mr. Speaker, that's the core function of committees, of select committees. And if the committee has to oversee a ministry, certainly this will be part of the charge of that ministry.
Honourable Minority Leader, they should take note and follow up in the ministry to find out how they did with the loans that we approved for them in the House. So they should take note that we are approving, they brought this loan, the House has approved it. It is their duty to follow up to see whether the money has been used for the purpose for which the House has approved it for them.
The Speaker ruled and the House was adjourned to 2 p.m. Tuesday to allow the committees to consider the papers. Emmanuel Ante, reporting for Joy News, Parliament House, Accra.
Staying with Parliament, a good number of the MPs are disgruntled over an apparent delay in the release of some statutory funds due them. The MPs say the entitlements, including the District Assembly's Common Fund and HIPIC Fund, have been outstanding for more than 8 months now. The situation, they say, is causing disaffection for them amongst their constituents. The Speaker, after a brief meeting with the leadership of the House, has however assured the MPs the matter will be resolved.
The MPs, before formal business began in the chamber, could be overheard discussing the delay in the release of the funds amongst themselves. The Health Fund and the Get Fund were also included in the list of outstanding entitlements. The Speaker, as a result, had to call a meeting with the leadership to discuss the matter. This, however, did not stop members from raising the matter on the floor.
The first thing I noticed is that, Mr. Speaker, since you are in the chair, I may want to kindly request that we probably go into closed sitting to discuss some matters which, in my view, may have an impact on what we are going to do. And I didn't want to...
The Speaker then intervened and assured members of the efforts by the leadership to get the matter resolved.
Have you spoken to your leaders? They've drawn my attention to certain issues in my lobby today, and a certain arrangement has been put in place. If you are not satisfied with that arrangement and you want it to take a different form, it's a different matter. That is why I was asking you, that is why, and the arrangement involves a meeting anyway. Are you listening? And that meeting must involve some other people. And those people must be invited, and I ask that the clerk summon those people. And if you hold those meetings without those people, what are you going to achieve?
The House is expected to meet with stakeholders on Tuesday to resolve the matter.
The Speaker of Parliament, Oduduwaja, who has congratulated the President John Dramani Mahama and the 2012 flag bearer of the NPP Nana Akufo-Addo for demonstrating good statesmanship qualities before, during and after the election petition. According to him, Nana's acceptance of the verdict and subsequent congratulation of the President is a clear example of his statesmanship. He made the statement at his opening address to the House on the first day of the emergency sitting.
Former member of this House for 3 consecutive terms, it is my expectation that His Excellency the President will bring to bear on his executive office his wealth of experience and understanding of parliamentary matters. It is also my fervent hope that this will culminate in an epoch of mutual respect and strengthen symbiotic relations between the executive and the legislative organ of state. As you may also be aware, Nana Akufo-Addo is also a former member of the Ghana's 4th Republican Parliament, a position he ably held for 3 consecutive terms, just as the President. Indeed, They all entered Parliament the same year and left in the same year. His acceptance of the verdict of the Supreme Court, despite his disappointment with the ruling, and his act of personally congratulating his opponent, His Excellency the President, and his appeal to members and supporters of his party to accept the verdict of the court is a clear demonstration of his statesmanship. I also commend our Supreme Court judges who adjudicated on this petition. With professionalism and fairness to all the parties, in my view. I also commend counsels for the petitioners as well as respondents who, for 8 months of grueling legal contestation in the highest court of the land, exhibited exemplary advocacy and mature professionalism, which are hallmarks of the bar.
In a related development, the new Patriotic Party running mate for the 2012 election, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, arrived Monday morning in a northern regional capital, Tamale, to kickstart a nationwide thank you tour. The 2012 running mate is accompanied by National Chairman Jake Obechabi Lamte, General Secretary Kojo Uswe-Fruye, and Women's Organizer Utiku Afisa Jaba. Dr. Bawumia met with MPP constituency and regional executives in a closed-door meeting in Tamale before heading to Bolgatanga in the Upper East region for a similar tour. Dr. Bawumia is said to have thanked the party executive on behalf of the 2012 flag bearer for the support shown them and the party throughout the election petition hearing. We return to our earlier story on the accident involving the Russian Speaker of Chief Justice, and we're joined on the line by the president of the Greater Accra Ghana Bar Association, Frank Davis, to give us some more details on this accident. Good evening to you, Mr. Frank Davis.
Good evening.
All right.
Good evening to your esteemed viewers or listeners.
Yes, viewers. Thank you very much for joining us. What are you able to tell us about this accident involving the Russian Chief Justice?
Thank you. Quite unpleasant news. Very unpleasant news. Very sad one. Embarrassing and frustrating one for us all.
Yeah.
We had just come to the end of the opening ceremony, or what we call the morning session of our conference. He was the last of the speakers and delivered his speech, but they had some other person engagement in Accra, so he had to leave us, much to our discomfort, because we were supposed to have been in lunch with him, with the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. But because of the pressures of time, in fact, we started the ceremony a bit late, so they were running behind time, so they had to leave. Just whilst we were at lunch, we got this unfortunate news that the vehicle he was driving in had been involved in an accident at the Tunji barrier. What happened, we are told, is that there was this tipper truck who was coming from the other direction, and the dispatch rider actually signaled him to stop. He stopped momentarily, then decided to drive off again, and he was actually coming to a headlong collision with TJ's car, so they had to veer off the road and went into the bush. In the process, the car somersaulted and he got injured. So he was flown, helicopter service was arranged from Accra, and he was flown to the whole hospital. The information we have is that he was in quite of some serious pain. But fortunately, we hear he's been flown back to Accra and was taken to the 37 military hospital. Yes, we don't have very detailed reports, but what we know for sure is that he seems to be in some serious pain.
Is the injuries he suffered, are they critical? How critical are they?
I would not be able to say, but those who met the accident. At least one of our colleagues who was coming from Accra actually stumbled upon it. And from what he has told us, he seemed to be in some serious pain and was holding onto his knees, both knees, indicating that there was pain in his legs. So that is about how much I can say, because I was not part of the delegation. Some of us had to go. Some of the council members and our national executive had to leave to go to the whole hospital to see to him. And when they came back, what they told us was that his condition had been stabilized a bit. But then he also seemed to be in some pain. All they say is that he's in some serious pain.
Okay.
But as to what the indication of pain is, we've not been told.
Okay. Right, thank you very much. We had Frank Davis, is the president of the Greater Accra branch of the Ghana Bar Association, giving us some update on the accident involving the Russian Chief Justice here in Ghana. We're still keeping with this story, and if we have any further update, we'll make it available to you before the end of the bulletin. We're taking a break now. We'll be back with more news. The Bureau of National Investigations, BNI, has accused African Automobile Limited of double, triple and quadruple billing for services rendered in respect of 3 vehicles it purchased in September 1995. Officials who appeared before the Judgment Debt Commission on Monday denied any wrongdoing in the payment of a judgment debt of $4.2 million by government in September 2011 to the company.
The BNI was represented at the Judgment Debt Commission by the head of finance, Godfred Ijapon. He was asked to produce documents as far as the supply of vehicles by African Automobile to the Bureau was concerned. But Godfred Ijapon noted the BNI never signed any agreement with the company and as such could not produce any documents to that effect. He, however, confirmed payment for 3 vehicles purchased from African Automobile in September 1995.
In fact, we purchased some vehicles, 3 vehicles from them in 1995. That one was fully paid for.
Was there any sales agreement in respect of the purchase of those vehicles?
My lord, no.
He read out some details of a statement of account for workshop servicing and other auto works the company carried out on the 3 vehicles as of June 2001 to support a claim that African Automobile overbilled the BNI.
1995, 12 October, 1995, yes, that's 13th October, job number 46762.
Yes.
Model Pajero, vehicle number GR 1875A.
Yes.
This was supposed to be a very brand new vehicle.
Yes.
They bill us. Then the same month, 13th October, the same vehicle 46772, Pajero GR 1875A, they bill us again. 25th January, we were billed.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Less than 2 weeks later.
Yeah, then 5th February, we were billed.
Huge sums.
Huge sums. So, and that is the reason why we asked them to come for reconciliation, and they will not come.
So it means your vehicles were going for servicing almost every
week. Brand new cars.
Officials of the Land Valuation Division also appeared before the commission in relation to vehicles also bought from African Automobile. Officials noted that after checking their records, they had no documentations on the purchase agreement and have not dealt with African Automobile on the supply of vehicles.
My lord, we searched our records and we have no documentation on the subject.
But have you perchance had any vehicles supplied to you by the African Automobile Limited? Directly, not through any agency?
No, my lord, not as far as we could establish through records or interviews with past executive officers in the division. We haven't had any supplies of vehicles from African Automobile.
It means that you have never dealt with them before?
Not that our records show. We don't even have any communication from them indicating any indebtedness to African Automobile. Absolutely nothing.
The sole commissioner of the Judgment Debt Commission, Justice Ya Apao, assured the 2 institutions they will appear before the commission once more when African Automobile is subpoenaed to clarify issues.
Striking members of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union at the University of Cape Coast today marched on the university administration to walk out temporary workers said to have been contracted to clean the campus. The action directly challenges a decision by management of the university to go round the TEWU strike.
There was drama at the University of Cape Coast as TEWU members attempted to stop some workers ostensibly contracted by the university administration to ensure that the campus, that is very dirty, is kept clean. The areas including the halls of residence, the streets of the university and many other places have not been swept nor cleaned since members of TEWU embarked on their strike action. Before the confrontation, the workers in their hundreds met for serious prayers. According to them, the prayers coupled with the strike action they have embarked upon is meant to touch the heart of the authorities to grant them their request. The leadership of UCC TEWU says they have relaxed their strike a bit to allow those workers who fall under the essential services to work. Workers at the university hospital, the mortuary and the security services have been allowed to work in order not to collapse the university system completely. TEWU UCC chairman Stephen Williams says they will continue to fight for their rights.
It's as if the fair wages are not up and doing. They are not even ready, willing to sit with us. That is why we are here. And what we are all saying is, if they also think that we matter most, then they should also help solve the matters so that things will come to normalcy. So as for the halls and the dirtiness of the campus, we have no say. When we resume, we will take care of that, because this is not the first time that we have done such thing. So they should listen to us so that we can also come and then work. We are not interested in strikes.
Richard Kojinyanko's report for Joy News.
Some 6.4 million children have so far been vaccinated against measles and rubella in the ongoing nationwide immunization exercise. Authorities are hoping to immunize 11.4 million children by the end of the 10-day program, which is taking place in all 216 health districts across the country.
Measles in the past was the second common childhood killer disease and plagued children, especially those under 5 years. The country has, however, made some great strides in the last 10 years with efforts to eliminate the disease.
Since 1978, we've been able to reduce measles levels. And when we started with the campaigns in 2002, the levels are so low that even the few who get measles, nobody dies, and that is good for us. And if you go around, older people know that in all hospitals there used to be measles wards. Now you don't see measles wards again because they are not in use.
The ongoing immunization exercise, part of efforts to eliminate measles, is said to be enjoying massive patronage. The National Program Manager of the Expanded Program on Immunization, Dr. J, is confident they would meet their target of immunizing 11.4 million children by the end of the 10-day exercise.
So we are monitoring targets for every district from this level, and we prompt areas where their performances are low so that we don't wait till the 10th day. But after the 10th day, of course, if we don't meet our target, it will not be nationwide. So we'll spot areas where we need to focus on, and we'll take the necessary remedial action.
The rubella vaccine is also being administered as a combination vaccine with measles. Health officials have been stationed at vantage points such as schools and markets to ensure as many children as possible are vaccinated. The World Health Organization and the Global Alliance Vaccine Initiative are both funding the 38 million Ghana cedi exercise to prevent infant and child deaths.
The Food and Drugs Authority is warning the public to avoid a new anti-malaria drug on the market, Gisonate Plus, because it says its efficacy has not been tested. Head of Drugs Enforcement Department, Thomas Amejuru, says the authority is worried about the complications and side effects of the drug.
The Jusinet Plus anti-malaria drug for children is administered through the anus. The FDA, however, says the drug's combination of artesunate and amodiaquine has not been tested and so cannot be guaranteed for the treatment of malaria in children.
Combining these two medicines into one suppository has never been done. And so if something like this comes up, there is the need for you to provide the manufacturer to provide enough clinical data to justify that it can be efficacious when combined together. We know that artesunate is a good anti-malaria medicine. Amodiaquine is also a good anti-malaria. But whenever you combine two medicines, anything can happen, any kind of reaction can happen. One can even inactivate the other or vice versa. And so these are the issues we have with this kind of combination as to how effective it is, no data to justify that. And also this particular novelty of a composition is not even being in use in the country of origin, which means India, where it's not being used there, so that we'll have some idea that maybe it's been tested elsewhere and is effective in combination.
The FDA in the interim says it has seized the drug from the market and imposed sanctions against the importer.
There are regulatory sanctions that are available. One of them, even putting this in a media like this, is also is damaging enough also. But there are other regulatory measures. In fact, the facility has been locked up as I'm talking to you, and he's been asked to take certain measures to regularize his activities as far as the Food and Drugs Authority is concerned. Other sanctions will come in as and when they are due.
It is therefore warning the public to be on the lookout for such drugs on the market.
The fight is an ongoing fight, and we need just to sustain it, and we need everybody who has a role to play, all stakeholders. And by this, I mean the public is a stakeholder, because the public is using the medicines. They must be up and alert about these things. Source your medicines from accredited sources, where you can obtain receipts or invoices linking you to that source, so that even in case you come into contact with a fake medicine, we can trace it and find out how it came in, so that we can block that kind of pathway.
The FDA, meanwhile, says it is still monitoring the market to eliminate substandard and fake drugs, which poses a threat to human lives.
Effective Wednesday, September 18, butchers in the Upper West Regional Capital will be permitted to slaughter and move animals in and out of the Wa municipality. The decision to lift the ban was taken at a review meeting of the Wa Municipal Security Committee. The ban was imposed in the wake of an anthrax outbreak late last month. Rafiq Salam's report from Wa.
The review meeting, which is the third since the outbreak of the disease in the Wa municipality, is to look at the progress that has been made by officials from the Regional Directorate of the Food and Agriculture, especially the Veterinary Service, in combating the disease. The Wa Municipal Director of the Veterinary Service, Dr. Paul Poku, stated they have vaccinated in the last 3 weeks a total of 30,798 animals, which included sheep, goats, cattle and pigs. Based on the technical advice, the committee fixed Wednesday, September 18 for the lifting of the ban on the slaughter and movement of four-legged animals in and out of Wa municipality. He added that antemortem examination will now be carried out at the Wa slaughterhouse on all animals before they are slaughtered and sold to the public.
The consuming public are the ones who should be most discerning. What we are doing is in the interest of the consuming public. The butchers are only interested in business, but I'm sure they would not be able to be in business without their clients. It's the health of the clients that's important in this particular case. So we appeal to the consuming public to be mindful of what we are doing.
The decision to lift the ban from Wednesday did not go down well with the Wa Butchers Association led by Nuru Abu, but they seem happy now that there is end in sight for the ban to be lifted as they gathered outside the meeting hall. However, their spokesperson, Anwar Abu Sunday, still has issues with the Office of the Municipal Officer of the Veterinary Service.
Wanted to punish us, so we are challenging the medical director to come out clear and show us when was the last time he saw this disease on a cow or any similar ruminant. Because he cannot come and tell us that we are having this anthrax. When was the last time they detected this sickness in a cow?
Yes.
That means they are not doing their work since that long.
Yeah.
Because if they are doing their work, they would have detained one of the animals. That this animal is infected with anthrax.
Rafiq Salam's report from Wa.
Hello, good evening. So here's where we bring you business updates. My name is Abigail Adomako-Enchi. Now, the National Communications Authority will soon commission its latest state-of-the-art monitoring equipment to assess the performance of mobile telecoms operators as well as internet service providers. Speaking at the launch of the 30th Quality of Service Development Group meeting in Accra, the Minister of Communication, Edward Omane-Boamah, said this measure is in line with efforts to improve the quality of service delivery by operators.
Minister of Communications, Edward Omane-Boamah, said one of the greatest challenges facing the telecommunications sector is the observance and respect for satisfactory quality of service to meet the expectations of the consuming public.
NCA will, in the coming months, commission its latest state-of-the-art monitoring equipment to evaluate mobile telephony as well as internet services over 3G networks and unlicensed LTE networks.
He added the NCAA will soon conduct a test survey.
Communications Authority, in its mandate to ensure consumer protection as well as enforcement of compliance to license obligations, has been compelled to invoke penalties on the service providers as well as insist on compensation measures in response to public outcry to deteriorating quality of service and quality of experience. NCA intensifies the conduct of quality of service tests and publish the results of the test to be sourced by the media for public dissemination and discussions.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Kweku Sechiado, said the initiative is to bring regulators and operators, academics and consultants, equipment vendors and device manufacturers together to improve service delivery in the country and across the world.
But as new technologies emerge, these specialists who are meeting here also have to discuss all of these things are new because things are changing, technologies are changing. So obviously there will be new parameters and definitions and ways of measuring or methodologies also change.
The minister commended the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications for the initiative and added that his ministry is inviting telecom operators to share in ideas that improve upon the quality of service delivery.
So a lot has been happening in the petroleum sector. Here's the latest. Consumers of petrol and diesel would be paying between 3 and 5% more for every litre purchased. This follows the upward review in prices of some petroleum products by government. Joy Business has gathered LPG is going up by 7% for every kilogram and 15% for every litre of kerosene. Prices of premix fuel and residual fuel oil will, however, remain unchanged because government has stepped in to cushion users of these products. And our economist John Gachi says though the recent increment in transport fares will affect prices of goods and services, inflation is not likely to go up immediately as factors such as exchange rate also affects it. Speaking on Business Live on Joy News, he indicated that petroleum price reviews should be accompanied by effective communication and education to ensure appropriate pricing of goods on the market.
The Road Transport Coordinating Council, after discussions with government and transport operators last week, reviewed transport fares, increasing it by 20%. They also agreed that transport fares be reviewed twice in every year. Already, petrol and diesel prices have increased by 3 and 5%. Meanwhile, there are arguments that such development inevitably affects inflation. But economist John Gachi explains a lot more goes into determining inflation.
If we have significant increase in fuel prices and also
transport fares, definitely it will affect prices of goods and services in the country. But that will not reflect immediately. We have what we call the pass-through effect of economic issues. So this will take some time to be fully integrated into prices of goods and services in the country. But what is also fueling inflation in the country significantly is the exchange rate, because the exchange rate is not stable and we are import-led economy. When there is volatility of the currency over a short period of time, that reflects significantly on prices in the country. So if we are able to control instability around our currency or the value of our currency going forward, then the increase in prices, which is anticipated from the effect of transport fare increase, may not significantly contribute to inflation in the country.
He argues that the increment in transport fares and/or prices of petroleum products should not trigger increase in prices on the market, especially when traders and consumers are adequately educated.
It's not every increase that results in a situation that will affect other inputs in the market. There is a level that when we hit that level, then definitely that should trigger a change in the prices, because it will change the fundamentals in the country. It will change transport fares and utilities, etc. But when we don't get to the point that these fundamentals are going to change, then there's no reason why anybody should begin to increase prices in the country. So there is a threshold beyond which prices can change. But if it is below that threshold, prices should not change. So that is the education, I think, that the authorities should add to any review. If we don't do that, then we leave the system in the hands of people to manipulate.
That'll be all for business. Israel Lai comes up next with international news.